Hi, I'm Jeannie. Welcome to Mimicraft, your home for all things creative and DIY on a budget. I make all the mistakes so you don't have to. Hello Mimicraft family, and if you're new to this channel, welcome! We're getting close to our goal of 1,000 subscribers, so if you enjoyed today's video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing if you haven't already. Hit the bell icon so that you'll be notified every time I post a new video. Let's get started. Today I'm going to be recycling a Valentine sign into a new neutral Easter sign. A link to the original video will be in the description box. I removed the original decor piece from the middle of the plaque, and I'm filling in the hole that it left with some Dollar Tree spackle. By the way, this original sign was made using a round Dollar Tree sign that was made out of that pressed board. When it was completely dry, I sanded it, but I did have to do, I think, about 3 different applications. Sanding off that gold wax really messed up the white paint, so I had to touch it up. On the original piece, I used Antique Gold Rub and Buff, which is just a gold wax. So here I am touching it up. I'm just going to use my finger, and then you'll see in a little bit that I start to use a paintbrush, and then I got smart, added a little bit of tape because I had just painted that other spot white, really didn't want to mess it up. This is a cross I purchased at Dollar Tree. So the first thing I did was take off the base, but the cross itself was going to be too big, so I had to cut it down. The wood on the bottom portion of the cross was about 1/2 inch, so I went ahead and measured that all the way around so that the whole thing would be symmetrical. I decided to use my Dremel to cut this down. If you don't have a little power tool like this, a handsaw would work out really well. I think a utility knife would really be difficult. It would take some time. I sanded the edges smooth with 80 grit sandpaper. If you choose to use this method of sanding, only go in one direction. I found that if I go back and forth, that my surface ends up being curved no matter how still I hold my hand. My idea for this project came from this pack of risen words. There's 3 in the pack. I wanted to write "He is risen," so 3 of them was perfect. I used a utility knife to cut out the letters IS for is. Then I cut out the E for he. I sanded the letters to make them smooth. Here you see I'm using scissors to cut this a little bit. You don't want to do this for the whole thing because the wood splits so easily, so I only did it in little parts. I made a template for the letter H, and I traced it onto some craft sticks. I made this up based on how the R looked, but you could look up some fonts on the internet and come up with something also. Craft sticks cut pretty easily, and I thought this would be the best way to make my own letter H. I had to cut the H in pieces and then glue them together. I cut the template to make the middle part of the letter. I cut the craft stick into sections so it would be easier to work with. I cut in the direction of the grain of the wood, working my way to the line that I had drawn. Cutting out this letter definitely took a minute. I'm using my utility knife for these little details, much in the same way I used the scissors in the previous words. I accidentally split a piece off, so I used a little bit of wood glue to put it back on. You can see how rough that piece is up top, so I definitely did a lot of detail sanding. I used 80 grit for this as well. I glued the H together with wood glue, by the way. I used the gold Rub and Buff to color the letters. I used it on the cross as well. After arranging the words on my sign, I realized that the gold letters just were not going to work out with that gold stripe in the middle. So here you see me taping it off, and we're going to go over that stripe with black. The key to getting a really crisp line when you do this, or you do stencils, is to work with an almost completely dry brush. I'm going real dry here. I did, however, get a little impatient and put too much paint on, and you are going to see some bleed through. But if you stick to using this dry of a brush, you will get a super clean line, I promise. It's going to take probably 2 or 3 passes going with this dry of a brush. Would you look at me go? Not the best reveal. I had to do a lot of touching up. Here I am arranging the cross and the words. Here I am going a little bit crazy with the glue before I glued the cross down. Then I glued everything else down. I used wood glue, by the way. Off camera, I measured and put down some masking tape so that all the letters would line up perfectly. I cleaned up the excess glue with a wet wipe. Some of the Rub and Buff rubbed off of the letters as I was placing them, so I had to do a little bit of paint touch-up. I sealed everything with matte Mod Podge. It was looking like it still needed something else, and then I remembered that I had this metal ribbon from Dollar Tree, so I decided to make a little crown for the cross. I used very dull wire cutters to cut this ribbon. I should have just used scissors. It was very easy to cut with those. I decided where I wanted the cross to go and then just gently bent it into a half round shape. I used hot glue to attach it. I covered the back of the sign with craft paper. I think in this instance you should call it crap paper because I did such a bad job. I'm putting a hanger on, just a little bit of jute twine, and then a couple pieces of craft stick just to glue it all down in place. Here it is all finished. What other colors do you think I could have used for the letters so I didn't have to completely repaint this thing? I mean, I like how it looks, but that was really a pain. Let me know in the comments what you think. This cringeworthy shot is for my son, who is a professional videographer. Mommy loves you! Thank you so much for watching. I sure do appreciate it. Until the next one, bye!